Yes, Chris.
There he is.
There you are.
What's going on, man?
It's good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you too. Sorry, it took me, I don't know why I couldn't get into this, but here we are.
Here we are once again, man. I mean, it's been pretty much almost a year since we last spoke, if that's right.
Yeah, it's been I was definitely not living in LA last time we spoke.
Yeah. Where were you living before? Because I know you moved to LA, but where were you before?
When we spoke, I was in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Well, I mean, like, you're living nice though. You're living swanky.
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, because like your setup now is like very signature when it comes to your remote chats, and it's really cool. Like the way you got it set up, like all of your achievements behind you, especially like with Be Great and Be Grateful that I always see on the right hand side. Was that intentional when you wanted to have it as like a decorative element?
Well, when I was doing this, look, let's take it back a second here. When COVID
Cool.
first started, I was only doing interviews. Before COVID, I was only doing interviews in person.
Of course.
And then when COVID first started, I, like everybody else, thought, oh, this will just last for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This will just be 2 weeks. So I basically just like set up my laptop with my webcam and the mic that was built into my computer. And I was just doing it like in my office. And that was that. And then as this started to go on longer and longer and longer, I went, oh, this is going to be a thing. Like,
Yeah.
I need to buy like an actual microphone and like actually like, so.
The same here, man. Because like when we first spoke, it was similar situations in terms of like you were living in a different area, but obviously we both were having to think about, oh, well, we can't really go anywhere, so how can we make this work for ourselves as far as like remote chats? And I know one thing with me is that I really do miss human interaction, but we're slowly getting back into that now. Like, and of course, I'm seeing that you're getting back into the swing of things and interviewing people in person. So, like, I mean, for you mentally, like, what do you feel is like the differences as far as doing remote chats against, doing face to face with people?
Well, nothing replaces a face-to-face interaction, in any setting, whether that's grabbing dinner with somebody, grabbing a drink with somebody, just having a meeting with somebody or an interview. And I was questioning the other day that if you do a Zoom interview with somebody, did you really meet that person? Did you?
Ooh.
Right?
Ooh.
Because did you meet someone if you couldn't shake their hand, look them in the eyes, feel their energy? Did you really meet them? And we came to the answer that no, you shared a video call with them.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of sums it up.
But I think as well, like, then it's not like you're not able to shake hands or have that human interaction, but it's still the case that you're transferring energies. It's just in a different form.
Yes. But I think we would all agree. Yeah, a different form. I think we would all agree that it's a lesser form. Like if I said to you, you can meet The Rock for 5 minutes on a virtual chat or 5 minutes in person.
Oh man, no question. Yeah,
right, of course, everybody.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. No, of course.
And I think that there's an edge definitely in doing them in person. Which I mean, look, COVID has taught us that this is possible, and like
Yes.
I'm so grateful that this happened in 2020 and not like the year 2000. Because if this happened in the year 2000,
Oh God.
we wouldn't have been able to see loved ones with FaceTime or Zoom or Skype or whatever we've been using. But also, the fact that we have technology now that, you live on the other side of the world.
Yeah, of course.
And we're able to talk right now like we're sitting next to each other. It's a pretty cool thing that we've come this far.
Yeah, I definitely believe, like, even through the past year and a half, like, I've been chatting to so many different people from all parts of the world, like from Africa to America to the UK to Europe. And the only thing that I must admit is a little bit annoying for me is the time differences. Because, I mean, I spoke to someone, I think, obviously, well, of course, like, you're in LA. I remember I was speaking to one person and they were 8 hours ahead of me. So literally it's like by the time like I got to the call, it was like evening time. It's just like, oh, I'm just ready to have my dinner now and then just about to go to bed. So it's like, but the person's woken up to the first part of the morning. Do you find that annoying in any way in terms of like time differences, or do you just manage to balance it out for yourself?
I've lived in East Coast time for so much of my life, like with the exception of 1 year when I was hosting a show in Vancouver. So I'm so used to East Coast time, and I just feel like business, especially in the US, is run on East Coast time, on New York time.
Right.
So moving to the West Coast, I mean, West Coast definitely like is a little bit more laid back, especially compared to like New York. But I feel like when I wake up, and I wake up relatively early, I wake up at like 6:30 or 7. I still
Oh
feel like
wow.
I'm so far behind because all of my friends and colleagues who are on the East Coast, it's already 9:30 there or 10 o'clock, and they've already been doing work for an hour or maybe more.
Yeah.
So I don't find that in terms of setting up these interviews, it's been difficult. I just kind of do the math in my head. I'm like, all right, let's. So if I want to do the interview at 10, that's 1 o'clock for them. Okay. I'm like, how does 1 o'clock sound?
Yeah. And just
And
and
I,
just and just make it work for everybody.
right. And, most people, I guess it's starting to change now, but for a good chunk of time, most people were working from home. So it was pretty easy to be able to go, all right, give me a day that works, give me a time that works, and we'll figure
Mm.
this thing out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got to admit to you, Chris, like the last time I actually spoke to you, like, just 5 minutes before, like I was having heart palpitations and I was having like, I was nervous, and I don't really get nervous that tough. And the reason why I say that is because I value your work so highly and how you've become respected in the industry as a really good presenter, a really good host, a really good interviewer, that me coming on with no, well, I wouldn't say prior background to presenting because I wouldn't call myself a presenter. I run a YouTube channel. I film and edit for the most part. But to come on and to speak to someone who I value their work so highly, and then literally like when you called me down and just say like we're all wrestling fans here, then I realized it's like, well, we're all just humans at the end of the day. So I don't know why I was nervous in the first place.
Yeah, and I mean that's at the core of this. We're just, we're these living flesh, like these living meat, flesh things like on a spinning rock, in the universe. So
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that when I started to realize early on in my career that number one, these aren't interviews, these are just conversations. You're two people that are, sharing a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, they're no different than you are. They,
Mm,
they just had goals and aspirations that they chased after and accomplished.
mm,
And maybe you're just a bunch of steps behind where they are, but they're no
mm,
different than you are.
mm.
And they shouldn't be treated as such.
Yeah, I mean, because for me, like, I mean, firstly, I got to say congratulations on everything you're doing. Like, with the
Well,
YouTube,
thank
your
you.
podcast turning two. Just was it couple of weeks ago? Was it?
Yeah, it was last week as we sit here right now. Yeah.
I mean, congratulations on that. I mean, there's so much that you just keep going with ideas of how you can build your name even further. Like, I mean, how does it feel to be constantly, when you go through your goals, because you always say vague goals get vague results. So how do you feel when it comes to like constantly achieving your goals, and then once you set a goal, you go on to the next one? Like, how does that put you? How does it put it in perspective for you?
Well, that's kind of the thing with goals, right? Is
Yeah,
when you set them and you achieve them, it feels good for like, 5 minutes. And then
yeah.
you go, all right, well, what's next? And I feel like I'm constantly living in a state of what's next and how can I get
Mm,
more out of every situation, more out of every relationship. So it's certainly gratifying in the moment. And it's
mm,
nice to know what you're chasing after and having that goal on the horizon that you're reaching after. But it's also nice to know that once you hit that goal, there's another goal beyond that. And you just got to
mm,
keep going and keep pushing forward. And I think that being content is a really, really dangerous thing because when you get to
mm.
become content, you get to become complacent. And when you get to become complacent, you're not reaching
Yep.
for anything else.
Yep. I totally agree with that. Like, I mean, there's one thing I have to thank you for as well is when you did your interview with John Cena, the first one you did,
Yeah.
the one where you spent nearly 20 minutes and, he kept on allowing you to ask questions. The one thing that I took away from that interview is control the controllable. Now,
Me too.
before yeah, and it would have been before where like if there was a situation where I would be so stressed under, like, don't get me wrong, like we're all human, like we're not perfect in any stretch, like we're gonna get stressed at some points, but learning that key element has allowed me to realize that you can't control everything. If you lose control, you can only control what is put in front of you. So, I mean, for you, like, you know, what's the biggest key that you've learned from anyone that you've ever interviewed, and how do you apply it to your day-to-day life?
I mean, that John Cena quote sticks with me all the time because the only thing we have control over are our thoughts. Like, you can't control how other people
Wow.
are going to react to things.
Yep.
You can't control what other people are going to do, but you can control how you react to that thing. And we see this all the time. You know, a, a situation can happen, and then you have person A who freaks out and thinks it's the worst thing, and then person B who goes, yeah, whatever, it's fine. And I'm not saying that one person's right or one person's wrong, but it's the exact same situation that two people are just reading in a completely different way. So that one really sticks with me a lot, is control the controllable.
Controllable.
I think
Yeah.
about it all the time.
Same. And it's literally the impact of that interview that has really brought it home for me. And like now, like if there's situations I can control, I'm going to make the best of it. So I have to thank you for, you know, having that, you know, that juice there for me to really put things in certain perspectives. So I got to thank you for that.
Well, of course. I shared something on Twitter the other day that I saw that was so profound. It was very much similar to what John Cena said with control the controllable. And I'll read it to you here because it just meant so much to me when I
Right.
saw it. It says, remember, most of your stress comes from the way you respond, not the way life is. Adjust your attitude, change how you see things, look for the good in all situations, take the lesson and find new opportunities to grow. Let all the extra stress, worrying, and overthinking go. And it's like,
Wow.
yeah, most of the
Wow.
stress in your life is just you freaking out about the things
Yeah.
that are happening.
Yeah. I mean, I had a situation like that the other day, and when the freak out was over, I was thinking to myself, why did I freak out in the first place? Like, what was the
Wow.
point of that? Because it was unnecessary stress that built up. And someone told me that it's the expectations that you build in your head for whatever the stress is supposed to come for. And it's like, then I realized afterwards, it's like I didn't need to do all that.
Yeah. I mean, Tony Robbins says, if you trade your expectations for appreciation, how could you ever be upset? And it's so true.
Wow.
You know, if you can just be appreciative of the moment, appreciative for the opportunity or whatever it is, instead of expecting it to go a certain way, because once you start to set your expectations for that, now you're just setting yourself up for failure, or at least at best disappointment.
Wow. I mean, look, the last time we spoke, given me keys like DJ Khaled, and you're bringing them once again. And you actually interviewed DJ Khaled on the red carpet once,
Very
didn't you?
briefly, but
Very
yeah, yeah.
briefly. And it,
Well, I lived
and
in
it,
Miami. Miami, yeah.
yeah, because I remember, I think he was saying that you asked him, I think, what's the key, and he said like you being here.
Yeah, the key is you're here.
Yeah.
You might
And
be
it,
the smartest person to be here right now. But
but
just
it's
on the top
true.
of his head, it gave me
Yeah.
your key.
Yeah, but it's true though. Like, you know, you are here. You're here in the moment. You're here, like seeing what's in front of you, and taking everything in as it comes, man. So, I mean, what a good guy for that.
I mean, what DJ Khaled has built, not
Yeah,
just in his music career, but just as a mogul now, as an influencer, it's unbelievable.
it's crazy, man. I mean, I've got to say though, like with the last time I spoke to you, you were full Chris Van Beard. You was full beard out, and what I would translate that to is that I felt you were the R-rated version of Chris Van Beard. Now I feel it's like more the PG-13 version of Chris Van Beard. Are we? I mean, because you go through different stages. Like you know, you did the mustache thing one time, you did the beard one time. So I mean, do you just base it on your mood at the time?
I basically shave when I need to, like if I'm, you know, I'm recording a new episode of the TV show that I'm filming or something like that, I'll shave. And then like this is almost 2 weeks. This is like, you know,
Yeah.
10, 12 days, something like that. And I was actually thinking this morning, I almost shaved this morning. And then I went, I'll shave tomorrow. So it
Was
really
it?
just comes down. I'm not trying to make a look at all. Like this is just
Right.
literally, I haven't shaved. I haven't even shaped this into a beard or anything. It literally just comes down to, Do I need to shave? The answer is, for the most part, no,
No.
never. So I'm like, all right, well, if I don't need to shave, I just won't shave. That's really what it comes down to.
Do you feel like when it comes to like say red carpets that you've done in the past, like when you're all suited up, and I just feel jealous at times knowing how so dapper you can become. Like even you getting like subscriptions for socks that come in the post, for goodness sake. Like do you base your appearance on that? Do you tend to like shave off your face more when you're at a presence of a red carpet, or does it not really matter?
I like the 3 day, 4 day stubble. I think that's where I feel my best.
Right.
So, and it's very hard. It's very hard to get that perfect stubble length. So I haven't shaved with like an actual razor in a long time. Like
Yeah.
I think years now. So
Yeah.
I'll shave with like a beard trimmer, but I mean, if we're being honest, and you know this as a beard aficionado yourself,
Wow.
when you when when you shave with a beard trimmer, it's sometimes too short. So
It
the
depends on what
perfect,
equipment you get, though.
I mean, and I have some pretty good equipment, but
Mm.
I just feel like to get to that perfect length, I will usually shave or beard trim the day before so that I get
Mm.
nice little bit of growth for the next evening if we're going to a red carpet event or whatever.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense for me because even like I can get away with growing hair like to a point and lining it up because I'm self sufficient. Like I haven't been to a barber in over 4 years because I've
Wow.
got the equipment and I can line up my own hair. The only struggle is at the back, so you'll see like a massive M. It looks like a fucking McDonald's sign. But but outside of that, like if I feel like I want to shave myself bald, I can do that, and if I want to grow it out, I can. Because one, I'm saving money. That's kind of the main reason. Let's be honest. But at the same time, for me, I know I can pull off different looks. Whereas when I had the bald look, that was purely by accident because I shaved off too much and I couldn't turn back, so I literally had to shave it all off. And then literally I compared myself to The Rock and I was just like, I looked at myself at the side angle. I thought like, you know what? I can actually pull this off.
Hmm.
So, I mean, it just depends on like, each person to their own as far as their hairstyles.
But I look at someone like Chris Jericho and I'm like, man, that guy can rock literally any facial hair. He can
Yeah.
rock a full beard. He can rock a goatee. He can rock the little, poet mustache. He can rock just the little soul patch. I'm like, and he actually told me that it was funny because he had been changing his facial hair so much that the action figures that they were making for him couldn't keep up. So they would make the action figure to be like 4 facial hair looks ago. It's so funny.
Imagine it being like, if being in AEW or WWE, that the amount of times that he shaved or grown his beard, it's just like, oh gosh, we have to make another figure again. Why don't we just do 4 separate versions and then just sell it at a different price for each one? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's brilliant though. I mean, he's the master of reinvention.
Yeah, literally, like he take
Yeah.
it like 30 years of reinventing himself and
Yep.
like still being like fresh to this day. I mean, for you, like, constantly, like, I'd see talking about reinvention. I won't say reinvention, but something that you've always done is like your fitness. I didn't touch on it last time. I want to touch on it here
Sure.
because you work out. And I remember there was one clip that you had. I can't remember the guy's name. Like really bulky black guy, and literally like you felt that you were minuscule compared to him. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of like, going to the gym and stuff like that, I mean, take me back to like the first experience of like, working out. Like, what was the trigger that got you to constantly work out?
Well, the guy you're referencing is a professional bodybuilder named Quincy Whittington, who
That's
is
right.
just
Yeah, yeah, there we go.
jacked. He is gigantic, and it was a pleasure to work out with him, and it's an honor to be able to call him a friend. But if we take it back, I've always been athletic. I always played sports growing up. Baseball was the first sport I played, then right into hockey. I literally played every sport that I could possibly play. I just loved being active, loved being athletic. But I was always like lean. I was always a small kid too. Like
Mm,
I started high school. I skipped a grade, by the way. So I skipped a
okay.
grade. I was always a year ahead. And I started high school I just turned 13.
Wow.
So I'm already a year younger than everybody else. I just turned 13. I'm barely 5 feet tall and I weigh 98 pounds. So
Wow.
I don't know if you can do the conversion there.
Mm.
Cause I don't know who
That's that's
used,
that's that's pretty skinny then.
it's pretty small. It's a
Pretty
very small
small.
kid.
Yeah.
It's a very small kid. And I was small. And I just remember like, maybe it was a little bit of wrestling thrown in there, but I just always looked up to the people who had a great build. And I wanted to be one of those people. I just wanted to be in better shape. And
Mm.
I remember when I first started working out, I was 15, almost 16.
Mm.
I remember wanting to be built like Kurt Angle or Chris Benoit because they were just so athletic and so jacked.
Mm.
And working out just became a part of my life.
Mm.
And it's become part of my life since I was 15, where it's been bare minimum, 3 days a week. Most weeks it's 5 or 6 days a week. And I don't drink coffee. So this is my way of like getting up
Neither
in the
do I.
morning, getting the blood flowing. And I'm not in the greatest shape of any person, but I'm happy that like, I'm mobile. There's nothing I can't do now at 38 that I couldn't do at 18. And I just
Mm.
feel great about that.
And you just mentioned about Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle as far as like their statures. Well, average to smaller guys, 230, 240 pounds. Is it something that for you, when you looked at those guys, you felt like, I wanted to be like them, and also like kind of build the stature of like, tone your body like the way they would? Was it something that you were just, I need to be like that, or was it something that was subconscious that you're thinking like, other things to build up your fitness?
I mean, I think I looked at guys like Triple H, who, I mean, we're talking about like the year 99, like 2000. We're going back like 20 plus years.
Mm.
I looked at a guy like Triple H or Sean Stasiak at the time, or Mark Jindrak, like guys that were huge. And I'm like, well, I'm not 6'4". I'm not going to weigh 260 pounds.
Mm.
So, and I loved Triple H. I, modeled my backyard wrestling character very much after Triple H. I taped my right hand and right wrist and just my left wrist. And I had a Triple H poster on my wall, but I just looked at him and I said, I don't like that. That doesn't seem achievable at my size.
Mm.
I specifically remember asking my wrestling coach how I could build a neck like Kurt Angle. And
Wow.
he gave me some exercises. I was like, I want to have a neck like as big as Kurt Angle's, which, as you can see, I did not accomplish. Which I
But
think that you would
you still have pretty decent broad shoulders. You know what I mean? Let's be honest
sure,
there.
but my like he has a neck like
Yeah. It's like you have to have, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Well, I mean, double
I
chin
mean, can you
that,
imagine
double
being
chin
like this
action
all
now.
the time?
Sorry.
Yeah. So I remember specifically asking my wrestling coach, like, what are some exercises I could get a bigger neck? Because one, I wanted to just have a bigger neck to look more like Kurt Angle, but
Mm.
also like I thought it would help me in wrestling too.
So obviously because of your background in getting into wrestling before you went into broadcasting, that transition. So obviously that's had a play on effect as far as like, you're using a different muscle, like talking to people, but at the same time, like you're still continuing on your fitness journey. So it's like two different things that you're working on, essentially, your mental and your physical.
Yeah. And I always want to constantly be building, like
Mm.
both mentally and physically. Like a few days not going to the gym just makes you feel like gross. Like,
Mm.
I don't know, like it's so much a part of my routine now that
Mm.
when I don't go, I instantly feel out of shape.
Mm.
So, and same thing with like I read every single day or I'm listening to podcasts every single day because I just want to be working that mental
Mm.
muscle. And
Yeah.
that was actually a pretty conscious effort I made maybe about 5 years ago. I was commuting 45 minutes. I was driving to work 45 minutes each way. And I was doing what most of us do. I put on, playlists, listen to some of my favorite songs. Maybe I would listen to the radio. Sometimes I'd listen to like talk radio. And I thought to myself, what if I took this time to like learn something?
Mm.
45 minutes each way. That's an hour and a half a day. That's 7.5 hours a week. I could listen to an audiobook a week. And that's what I started doing. Started listening to audiobooks or started listening to like podcasts and just filling my mind with like more useful information rather than just hearing my favorite Blink 182 song for the 716th time.
Well, I mean, I guess the Blink 182 must have inspired that. What was that look that you did years ago, like 10 years ago?
Oh,
The one
the
with the
frosted
the
tips.
frosted tips.
I mean, everyone was doing that. It was the year 2000. Frosted tips were the cool thing, bleaching your hair
Yeah.
blonde and letting it grow out.
Yeah, it seemed to be the trendy thing. I mean,
I
I
mean, it's
remember
kind of coming back.
it a little bit. It's coming
Yeah.
in stages. It's like, you know, what fitted caps used to do like 10 years, 10, 20 years ago, it's now come full swing again. So it's like, you know, whatever trends were happening so many years ago, now they're slowly coming back. The only difference is for me is that I will refuse to wear boot cuts again.
Mm.
I mean, because obviously you had a phase of boot cuts, right?
Of like the jeans, you mean?
Yes. Like the ones that
Yeah.
like sway that like that's that go towards the bottom that spread out.
Yeah, yeah, no. It's funny how I was watching a movie from like the year 2004 the other day,
Yeah.
and he was referencing like the tight jeans he was wearing. And
Yeah.
I go, "Oh, those jeans are not tight by today's standards."
No.
Like they were there was jeans. They were
Yeah.
normal jeans.
Yeah.
Now, like can you imagine when bootcut jeans were the thing, telling someone to wear like tight jeans? Be like, no, what are you crazy?
Are
And
you
now
mad?
skinny jeans, tight jeans are the thing, which I don't know. Fashion is very cyclical. So I
Yeah.
wonder when skinny jeans, tight jeans will cycle out and
Yeah.
fitting jeans might come back. I don't know. I
I
hope
mean,
not.
it depends. Well, no, I hope not either. I mean, like I've been comfortable with the skinny jeans now for the past 10 years, and to be honest, like to see myself going back in a time frame where for me I was in my early 20s in the boot cuts. Now I'm a little bit older. I'm in my 30s, and now I'm like, do I really want to backtrack on myself and think, am I like going through a midlife crisis if that would be the case?
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is look like you're trying, right?
Yeah,
Like it
yeah, you're
should
trying
just
too
look
hard.
effortless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for sure, man. I mean, of course, like, speaking of John Cena, like we were talking about earlier, of course, your recent interview, like, I was so excited to see that one as well, because, based on the last one that you did with him, and I obviously promoting F9 as well. And, a lot of people, a lot of blogs, a lot of videos have been, quoting, the interview with John Cena coming back to the WWE at some point. But when you asked him if he feels excited to come back to a WWE crowd, and he was mentioning about, Roman Reigns, like having to develop his character whilst having no fans at present. And that's the best period of his career, full stop, in my opinion. The best version of his character, like without question. I mean, for you personally, like, how do you think Roman will fare when live crowds come back? Do you think he will like strive to achieve even more with his heel character?
Well, I think that John Cena is completely right in saying that Roman's character probably wouldn't have worked if there were live crowds, because the crowd would have reacted how the crowd wanted to react rather than how WWE wanted you to react to that. The,
Mm,
there's a lot of pros and a ton of cons about filming these shows in the Thunderdome and in this COVID era right now. But I think some of the biggest pros to come out of this is they've had the direction to put the character wherever they want it to go. They
mm,
can completely control the narrative of these characters.
mm,
So I think it's going to be interesting when Roman comes back, because he's one of the biggest stars right now, if not the biggest star.
mm.
There's still going to be a whole bunch of fans, male and female of all ages, who are still going to want to cheer him. He's still going to do heelish things, but he's Roman Reigns. They like
Yeah.
him. He's handsome. He has a great smile. How could you boo this guy? So I think it's going to be tough. And I think when live crowds come back, they might have to do something maybe a little bit more over the top to make him that much more of a heel, because we
Mm.
all know going into those first bunch of live shows, he is supposed to be a bad guy. People are going to be so jacked up though when live crowds come back, that I think it's going to be really hard to evoke the reactions that they want from everyone.
Yeah, I agree, because I mean, because he's been a polarizing figure, like, for so many years, like and obviously from the era of John Cena and then Roman Reigns coming in and him being polarizing, and at this point now, like being a heel, like, because we, as fans, like smart fans wanted him to be a heel for years, and the
Yeah.
WWE wouldn't pull the trigger on it, and now it
Yeah.
has. It's like it'd be interesting to see like whether there'll be cheers for that based on him being a bad guy, or whether they'll boo him. But I mean, because obviously like all the piped in noises have doesn't really help. So it's like now we can finally find out where he sits as being a heel.
I don't think his entrance music gets a big enough reaction. Like his old Shield music, and I get that it was the Shield's music, and it was definitely associated with Seth and Dean, but that
D- that
like
defined Roman.
it hits, right? And
Yeah.
his new music now is just kind of like, eh,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
okay.
wasn't really. I'm not really a fan of his new music because when they announced they were going to change his music, I was thinking like, I mean, they have to do it much harder than what the because he's had a run of like having the Shield music for so long, but now it's like, does it really define his heel character as against the music? But let's just see how how that plays out as far as because obviously anyone that comes from the curtain and the entrance music, I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they even pop like based on the reaction of the music.
And that's what I'm saying. Like if he had music that like instantly got that reaction out of people,
Hmm.
I think that could really help things right out of the gate. And I don't
Hmm.
think that he has that. So look, people liked to boo Roman Reigns a year and a half ago when we had crowds.
Yeah.
I think that those same people will be happy to boo Roman Reigns now,
Yeah.
but it will be very interesting, as John Cena pointed out, when WWE goes from city to city to city. A crowd in St. Louis is going to react differently from a crowd in Fort Worth, Texas, and it's going to react differently from Los Angeles, from Miami to New York, and all across the board. So it's going to be interesting in those first few cities to see if what they've been doing for these last 16 months
Wow.
has been working and translates to a live audience.
Yeah, I mean, let's just hope there's not like a 360 on a lot of storylines that have been happening on in the past year, man. But we'll get to that in a second. But I mean, for me, for what I've seen of you recently, you're a great salesman as well. You're a very great salesman, like, and you've been having a lot of like, good sponsors, like from skincare care products. I mean, when I saw the earwax remover, I was just like,
That stuff's badass. Man, the
interesting.
Axle
But
Glade is badass.
I mean, I need to get it at some point, but I have like a earwax problem. We're not gonna get into all that sort of stuff, but but in general, like from underwear to wallets, I mean, even like vitamins, like the list goes on. I mean, do you have like at this point, because obviously you're well respected on your YouTube career, like almost 3,000 subscribers. Do the companies approach you or do you approach them? Like, how does the relationships work as far as like, being able to do that sort of thing?
Well, I won't endorse a product that I don't actually use,
Mm,
which that's where it starts for me.
right.
So, like, I'm completely serious when I say that I threw out all of my other underwear. Like, I only wear sheath underwear now, which
Wow.
I would show you, but let's keep this the PG show.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, and like my wallet is a Ridge wallet, and when I take it out, I get a lot of people are like, "How does that thing work? This thing, how is it so small?" So it really just starts with me liking the product. Generally, the companies reach out to me, but I say no way more often than I'm saying yes.
Okay.
Because if it's not a product that I don't like and can't get behind, you will instantly know that when I start talking about it. If I start
Right.
talking about a product and telling you how great it is, and I'm not believing it, there's no way you're going to believe it.
True. True. You have to. It's got to come from the heart. Like when you see it, it's just like I'm gonna mess with it.
Yeah, right. Hold on one second. Check this out. So my actual wallet, here it is right here. I just grabbed
The
it.
Ridge
Is
wallet.
is the Ridge wallet. And, it's filled with all my credit cards here. So yeah, that's the real deal. You can use the code CVV and you'll get to 10% off ridge.com/CVV. But no, I'm very, very grateful to have the opportunity to talk about products that, again, I'm constantly using. This is in my pocket every day. The underwear literally on my ass right now.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course. Yeah.
Tiege Hanley, the skincare that
Hmm.
I had been using, that was a really cool one. I had been using Tiege Hanley for about a year. And
Mm.
then we finally were able to figure out, like, they were like, well, would you want to like promote this on your YouTube channel? I'm like, heck yeah, for
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Send me
And
some products
skincare,
across. I'll do that.
skincare has been a really, and I know a lot of guys don't talk about this, but skincare has been a really important thing for me, like as a person, because especially when I moved to Miami, the
Mm.
sun is so hot there, and I got sunburned very quickly, and I
Wow.
realized that I needed to start wearing sunscreen every day. So then I got a skincare product. I got a moisturizer that has SPF 20 in it. So
Mm.
without diving too deep into that, they're products that I love and enjoy, and I'm happy to be able to share them with people.
I mean, that's why you're a good salesman, because from what you're just telling me, it just seems like if you're passionate about the people that you will want to work with, it will show. When you're advertising the product before going into your interview, and clearly, like every single one, you're always happy and passionate to show it off.
I'm a happy, passionate person.
Yeah, you are that in general. Well, anyway, and like that's why I'm cool with you, dude, man. You know what I mean? Like I've got no.
Likewise,
Yeah,
yeah.
man. Yeah, man. You know what I mean? UK to the US, my dude, man. Come on, man. Come on.
I mean, when these travel restrictions, I think I mean, we're pretty much there.
Yeah, I've
I
been
can come
hearing.
out your way
I've been
again.
I've been free, I've been hearing from some people that plane tickets are already being purchased to get some
Yeah,
artists over to our side of the pond. I'm expected to hear some names actually for this month in July to that I should be meeting. So fingers crossed.
nice.
I,
I
ha,
want to do I want to do a live podcast in
mm,
London or in the London area.
oh wow.
So, and I don't know if that's possible in 2021, but I think it's definitely possible in 2022. So
2022. Yeah.
I want to start doing more live shows,
Mm.
and there's so many listeners in London and in the UK, so I would love to come over there and do it.
I mean, we want you to come over here and do handle your business,
Done.
bro. It's been too long. I'm still waiting for that beer as well, man. Like when you do come over,
I can't wait.
it needs to be done, man. Although I'm more on like like the Serranos and the gins. I'm more on gin and lemonade at the moment.
I will not turn down any drink, so I'm good with whatever you want. I've been drinking probably a lot of cocktails recently. Spicy margaritas are a really big
I've been
thing,
hearing
especially in
about that.
LA.
It seems to be a big thing in like the States.
Yeah, so and like just craft cocktails in general. So
Yeah.
I'll drink anything,
Well,
whatever.
yeah,
So,
you know that. Like when you come over, it's on anyway. I wanted to touch on as well with the recent releases of the WWE talent, because it's still a continuous thing at the moment, and you've interviewed some of the people that have been released, like Mickey James, Chelsea Green, as a few examples. Even I mean, you've interviewed the Iconics. Like this was months way before they split up, and then it came to their releases. Braun Strowman, like Ruby Riott, Alistair Black, Tyler Breeze. Like when I heard that one the other day, I was like, "Are you crazy?" I mean, in your case, knowing that you've interviewed some of these people that have been released, like, when those releases were announced, did they shock you, or did you feel like that some of it was coming?
all of these releases shock me, not just the
Mm,
most recent ones, but all of them, whenever they happen, not just this year, not just last year, but all of them. And
mm,
my heart goes out to these people because they put their blood and their sweat and their tears. Most of them have picked up their lives and moved for this job that out of nowhere, they didn't do anything to cause these releases. Just out of
mm,
nowhere, boom, we don't have anything for you, quote unquote, budget cuts. Sorry, that's it.
mm,
And I feel for those people so much. But
mm.
I will say, on the flip side of the coin,
Yeah.
for a lot of people, this is the best thing that could happen to them. Now they have the creative freedom to do whatever they want with their character in wrestling or out of wrestling. And we've seen some people really thrive, like
Mm,
Matt Cardona
yeah.
is thriving. But again, 14 years in WWE and not his own doing, just out of nowhere. Sorry,
Yeah. Cut dead. See you later.
yeah, and I think that that's what sucks so much. Like if you did something wrong, if you got arrested for something, if there was an incident,
Mm.
I think we could all go, "Oh, I get it. So and so got released. Makes
Yeah,
sense."
it's justified.
Sure. And these do not seem justified to me. And when they
Mm.
claim budget cuts, and then we look at the financials, and WWE is more profitable than it's ever been, and then they claim budget cuts, and then they hire, new talent for NXT, who, I'm not taking anything away from those people. They are supremely talented and deserve those spots. And, some of those people are my friends. But it just sounds like you're kind of saying something out of one side of your mouth and talking out of the other as well.
Yeah, it's like it's like, I mean, I don't want to really badmouth the WWE, but it feels like they're
Yeah,
covering
me
their own
neither. It just
tracks.
doesn't add up to me.
No, it doesn't add up either. I mean, but the plus side, like you said, like there's people like Andrade, the Big Show, like Christian Cage, Miro, all in AEW now. Out of all those released talent that we've been seeing over the past like month or so, who would you like to see pop over to AEW?
I think some of the ones that are most surprising to me are the ones like that had storylines that were going. And I think that you could
Mm,
just take that momentum and just take that over to not just AEW, it could be taken over to Impact or Ring of Honor or New Japan. But
mm.
Braun Strowman, it has so much potential. And I'm really curious what happens because he went on the record to say that he only wanted to work for WWE.
Yeah.
And then when his career with WWE was done, that he wasn't going to work elsewhere. So I'm really
Mm,
curious if that was just him towing the company line and, he was saying that because he was employed by WWE at that time, or if he
mm,
genuinely feels that WWE is the only place he wants to wrestle. So
mm,
very curious what happens with him. Really curious what happens with Aleister Black, who
mm.
I think should go back to
To the
WWE.
WWE because he was in a program with Big E, and like that was something that could really boost further his career at this point.
And like, I'd like to be in that room when they're deciding who gets cut.
Right.
Because I imagine they have the like full roster list and they go, okay, well, Roman Reigns, he's safe. Seth Rollins, he's going to be okay. Alexa Bliss, they're going through the whole list. And then they get to like a handful of names and they're probably like, all right, we got to cut 8 people. Who's the most cuttable? Like the fact
Yeah.
that that is
It's
somebody's
crazy.
job
It's
is
crazy.
Oh, I mean, I feel for those people too, because
Yeah.
look, it can't be easy to be on that side of it. Like, it can't be easy to be the one who's calling up someone and saying, "Hey, sorry, like
We're
it's
gonna have to
over."
let you go. Like that for that person, it must really hurt knowing it's their livelihoods, like something they've done for years, and all of a sudden, cut dead. We're gonna have to let you go. And then for me, it doesn't sit right with me, especially like so much good talent that you don't even use,
Yeah,
just to avoid the competition as far as that. And obviously there's so many different stories, but I mean, the positive end, I hope that all the talent that are released, that they thrive further from what they're doing, like you said about creative control much more now, and can do whatever they so please.
yeah, and I hope it's whatever they want, and that doesn't necessarily need to be in wrestling. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of people who have left WWE and have had great careers outside of wrestling. So,
Mm,
maybe they don't want to work for another company. And that's
mm,
okay. And we
yeah.
shouldn't hold that against them as
No.
fans. But if they can go and have a successful career as a creator or as an actor or as a, Twitch streamer or whatever it is they want to do, go do it because now you have the opportunity to.
No, for sure. I mean, how do you feel about the wrestling landscape as a whole? For me personally, like with Raw and SmackDown. I mean, for me, SmackDown, for the most part, to me, has been the better show, especially like with the storyline with Roman Reigns and the Usos, and even with Cesaro. But on Raw, there's been top and tail as far as like how I've looked at the product, and I feel like a lot of times that they a lot of the storylines are very much sometimes 50-50 booking. It could be the same match over and over, and I don't know whether it's because they're holding back until live fans come back in attendance, but I feel that we're seeing too many copy and paste segments in certain of these shows. So I mean, what do you feel like the WWE needs to improve on to build more hype and to build back more viewers? Because sometimes there's been viewership on a decline. So what do you think?
I think we're right on the cusp right now of wrestling like becoming quote unquote normal again. And I feel
Mm,
like we're just hanging on right now in these last few weeks of these fanless shows. And I think that once the fans start to come back, I think that things will hopefully get back to normal. That's my opinion.
mm,
But I will say that this must have been a really tough time over this last year plus
for
for every
sure.
wrestling company
Yeah.
because every other sport stopped.
Yeah.
Baseball stopped, basketball, football, hockey, they all stopped.
Yeah.
And the only constant was pro wrestling through all of this.
Yeah.
And sure, it didn't look like the pro wrestling and doesn't look like the pro wrestling that we've been used to,
Mm,
but it continued on. And, my hat's off to every organization that was able to make this work because I think this takes a tremendous amount of effort behind the scenes that we don't see. And we just see Monday at 8 o'clock on the USA Network or Wednesday at 8 o'clock on TNT or Friday at 8 o'clock on Fox. We
Mm,
don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes and all the strings that are being pulled to make WrestleMania last year happen with like a week's notice. Like, mind blowing the logistics that went into
true,
that. And to make a weekly live television show is not easy.
true.
So I think that once the fans come back, that is the lifeblood of
Mm,
wrestling. Without
yeah.
the fans, it's just not the same. So I think that once the fans start to come back, I think SummerSlam is really going to start to be that kind of line in the sand of the pre-COVID world and now
And
the
the
post-COVID world.
post-COVID world, yeah, exactly. And I've been hearing that SummerSlam is kind of like the WrestleMania for the starting of live fans coming back again. So apparently it's meant to be in Las Vegas, like we holding 60,000 people. So that'll be interesting. We've literally just yesterday I was out. I don't know if you're aware about the Euro 2020 football that's happening over here, like the soccer that we're having. Like we had like England versus Germany yesterday, like nearly 40,000 fans in attendance, where like the past year like is barely anyone in sight, and that was just the exciting part of UK culture for us to be like, we're excited to see that back again. So I just can't wait for when, just as the wrestling landscape for, fans to come back and just let our energies back again.
And Las Vegas seems like the perfect place to do this. And
Yeah.
that stadium is brand new. It's state of the art. It's right on the Las Vegas Strip. And there's this energy when you go to Las Vegas that people are trying to have the best weekend of their life ever while
Yeah.
they're there. So you combine that in with this post-pandemic world, things opening back up again. I think that show has the possibility to like blow the roof off that place.
Wow, it will definitely happen, man. Out of all the people that you've interviewed, like who have you really become good friends with? Because I know that you just mentioned that you got some people in NXT that are your really good friends, but out of the people you've interviewed over the years, who are you really good friends with?
I guess there's been a handful of them, and it's kind of come and gone of like how much I interact with them on a daily basis. But Dolph Ziggler was someone I was pretty close to him to the point where I could just text him and go, "Hey, I'm going to be in town. Are you free to do an interview?" And, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Here's some time. I'm definitely friends with a lot of people on Instagram to the point where we're DMing frequently. Like Ethan Page has been my friend for 12 years,
Wow.
both of us in the independent wrestling, different independent wrestling companies in Ontario, Canada. So I've known him since way back then. And it's been so great watching his rise through Impact and then getting signed in AEW. He actually reached out to me and was asking me about like moving to Florida and what he needed to know because I
Wow.
lived there
Because you lived
5
in
years.
Miami, yeah.
And I'm like, well, here's what it's like when you're a Canadian and you move to the US.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's been a bunch of different people, but it's been so cool watching their growth. I'm right after I'm done here,
Mm.
I'm going to be a guest on Aiden English's whiskey tasting podcast, which
Ooh.
I'm so excited about.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm
yeah, yeah.
like, you sure you want me on this show? He's like, yeah, man. Like, you're getting actual guests and you want me on? All right.
Hey, it's like it's like returning a favor. So, but it's not really a favor. It's just like they want you on, so it's a genuine thing. So it's a good look. What's the more crazier thing for you? I have to ask this: swimming with alligators, getting chopped 20 times by Tyler Breeze and Sean Spears, or getting DDT by Gangrel.
Ooh, geez. Well, the DDT from Gangrel was my fault. It was very bad. I took that move completely wrong. That legitimately hurt.
Wow.
I jumped up a little bit too much. He ended up spiking me on my head. I should have taken more of like a chest bump on that.
Yeah.
Would not do that one again. The other two I would do again. The other
Oh,
two, I mean, I would swim with an alligator every day.
yeah.
That was such a cool experience.
I mean,
And
I
the
looked at
photos are unbelievable.
they look unbelievable. But when I looked at it, I'm thinking, you are a brave son bitch.
Anyone could do it though. Anyone could do it.
Yeah.
And now that, I mean, it's changed a little bit. The restrictions have changed there. I was like free swimming with this alligator.
You're just
Now
like, yeah,
there's
he
like,
could be my best friend.
I mean, he is Casper the friendly alligator. But they've changed the restrictions a little bit. Now you're in like more of like it's an area that's like netted off. So you're in like your own little area and then the alligator kind of swims around you.
Mm.
Where it used to be like you were in the same pool as Casper and you swam around and he did what he wanted to do and you did what you wanted to do.
Well, I mean, no humans were harmed in the making of that photo, so you live to tell the tale.
Thankfully, yeah, I'm here. I have all my limbs.
Oh, thank God for that. I mean, so what other projects have you got coming up? Because I know that you got some hosting going on at the moment, some TV hosting, obviously the YouTube, the podcast. So I mean, what's going on for you? Like, what other projects have you got in the pipeline?
Yeah, I still very much look at myself as a television host, like
Mm,
TV host first. So I've been filming a few different TV shows here that you'll be seeing. I think by the end of the year, they should be on TV. But the podcast and the YouTube channel are week in, week out, day in, day out. And it's been really exciting watching the podcast grow. Like, as you mentioned, it just turned 2 years old, which is crazy to
amazing,
me because we're
amazing.
220 something episodes in. So it doesn't feel like we've put out that many, but at the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, we've come a long way since this thing first started. And I have, a huge amount of gratitude for Blue Wire, my podcast network, who have really helped to scale my show and grow my show and help to get some of the guests that we've had. So, and I think a lot of people get excited because of some of the wrestling interviews that I've done. And that's cool. I love talking to wrestlers, but my whole career has been talking to like different celebrities,
Mm.
different actors, people that are interesting, entrepreneurs. So that's what I'm continuing to do with the show, having people on who are at the top of their game. They're achieving things that we wish we could achieve. And I just want to be
Mm.
able to steal some of their insights and hopefully apply them to our own life.
And I'm gonna flip it on you. This is like literally you being a guest on my show twice now. Like I've gained a lot of keys from you. So if we flip it now, it's to say like I feel like the tables are turned in my case. So again, it's a thing I'm grateful for you from you.
Well, I appreciate you having me back on. Like, thank you. So excited when you reached out to me.
Yeah, I was excited to reach back to you because I know we speak now and again on the DMs and obviously talking about different things. So I'm just grateful that it's not just a one-off occasion and done. Like if I want to chat to you about certain things, like you're good in responding back. So I know that like you're just a good person in general. It's not a thing where it's like an ego boost. Like if you've got time, you'll make time. So I'm grateful for any time that you can give me.
I appreciate you, bro. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no worries, man. Well, I'm gonna put one final question on you, and I'm gonna flip a question on you that you normally say, but I'm gonna flip it on you. What are the three things you are most grateful for?
I love it. I love it. Be great, be grateful, right?
Yeah.
So I start and end every day with gratitude because I think that it sets you up for the day. Because if you can be appreciative, like I said, instead of having expectations, trade your expectations for appreciation. So very thankful for my family. My mom and dad have been married for 47 years. They've set
Wow.
this incredible example of love and of companionship. And, they've set the bar awfully high.
Very high.
Um, and I miss them a lot because of COVID.
Mm.
I haven't been able to see my mom and dad since Christmas of 2019,
Yeah,
and
because I saw like your
restrictions.
Insta story that you were playing in the snow with like your family members and stuff like that, and knowing I could see thick snow in it was back in Toronto, wasn't it?
No, that I went to see my sister and like my niece and nephews
Right.
in December. Yeah,
Hmm.
there was snow there. There actually is snow in California. There's actually quite a bit of snow in the winter in California.
I didn't
You
know
just have to
that.
drive to the mountains.
Oh, so go right pretty high, but
So it's like, it'll be 80 degrees at the beach. You drive 2 hours and it's literally freezing and 2 feet of snow in the mountains.
wow. Okay, I mean, I
Yeah.
might just
So
try California for one time occurrence for that then.
come on down.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm very grateful for my family. And now that the restrictions are opening back up, I'm going to see them next month. And I'm so excited for that. I'm going to cry it's going to be so
Wow.
great.
Well, I got
Um,
you, man. I got you. I'll fan you down,
Thank
bruh.
you. I'm, uh, I'm really grateful for my health, especially over this last year when a lot of people that we know, friends and family members, have been affected by COVID-19, and I've been grateful to have not get it and still have great health through all of that. So, yeah, I'm really grateful for my family and for my health. I'm just grateful that this is the time that we're alive. Like I mentioned
Mm,
earlier, the fact that if this had happened 20 years ago, our
mm,
experience with COVID-19 would have been so vastly different. But the fact that even when we were told to socially distance ourselves or physically distance ourselves, we still had the ability through this, amazing technology to still see other people's faces. So
Mm,
I'm grateful that this is the time that we're alive right now. And with all that said, that you can be and do anything you want if you want it bad enough. And I'm glad that we live in that time right now.
wow. I mean, look, the last time I spoke to you, this time I'm speaking to you, I just feel like, if we were to meet up face to face, that, you know, after a few drinks, that there'll be more home truths and more keys, like even further to this. And I just, with London opening back up just slightly, and I can see that some people from America like have plans to come down. I hope at one point you do actually get to come down, and when you do, I'm hitting you up. When you come down, I'm gonna hit you up and say, where are you? I'm coming to see you.
Done. It'll be like the mega powers meeting. Like, brother, I don't know what's gonna happen when we connect our hands.
Okay. Oh yeah, like Braun Strowman would say, we'll get these hands.
I can't wait, man.
I can't wait either, man. Like, Chris, God bless you, man. Like, you're such a bundle of positivity, man, and you always make my time enjoyable, and you make my energies go up, man. I was tired earlier because I had an interview earlier and I got an interview tomorrow, but coming to see you, man, you just really lift me up, man.
I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
No worries, man. Well, I mean, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and go on to Aiding English's whiskey point, and don't get too drunk at this point.
Well, I mean, it's still the morning here, so we'll see what happens.
Well, I mean, God bless you, and I'll hope to see you down the line, brother.
You too, my friend. Be well.
All right. Take it easy, bro.
All right, man. See ya.
Peace.